Matt, you use that tavern music. Fucking turn it up. 20.
We are officially live.
Hello, welcome to Palatable Pints, the beer review show with a twist. Every 2 weeks, we'll be reviewing a beer from around the world, scoring it out of 5 in 4 categories: appearance, aroma, palate, and flavor. And then we'll recommend what video game you should play while drinking it. So this week, we've got Keith with us at Womble drinking the Guinness Extra Stout. I will also be drinking that. And Evan in Japan will also be drinking it. Sadly, Matt couldn't get himself hold of one, and Liam isn't drinking. So we're going to go around. We've also got one of our other Pixel Pint members, Rafa, is part of this. He can't be with us today, so he sent me his review over, and I'll be giving his thoughts about this as we go. We'll start with Keith, what he thought of the Guinness Extra Stout and his scores.
Well, I was going to do it live.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
and Evan can't pour beer to save his fucking life.
Yeah, you see how quickly I moved that off screen? It was horrid.
Well, in that case, Evan, we'll let your beer settle while
we gotta wait. We seriously have to wait.
I'm glad it's the bottle, not the draft out of cans, because we'd be waiting for about 20 minutes for it.
Oh God. Yeah.
So as appearance goes, it looks like a stout. It's slightly browner than draft Guinness, so it's not black like draft Guinness. I do prefer draft Guinness to this, I'd have to say. Superbly malty when you smell it. You can't get burnt wood smell from it, like a burning wood chip smell.
I agree with you there, Keith.
I really hate myself for doing this, because I know that Evan sent around these pictures of the word wheels that we all should all be using from Evan's man crush, Randy Mosher.
The Mosh.
The Mosh, man. The Mosh.
If you don't get a T-shirt of that, I'm going to get very disappointed.
So, referring to that, Keith, it's roasty is the initial and is the colouring, of which chocolatey espresso looking.
No, it's not. I don't get chocolate from this. I get.
What do you get from it?
I kind of get bitter caramel and coffee, unfortunately, because I hate coffee. So I'm going to score. So for appearance, I'd probably say 3, because it's a stout and it looks like a stout. Aroma, 3, because it looks like a stout and it smells like a stout. In terms of flavour, just for personal preference, I'd probably be a 2. It's not as smooth as, because it's the extra stout, and it's slightly more carbonated, and the draft Guinness, it seems to, the flavour lingers for longer, and I don't know why. I have to go and grab myself a can of draft and do a comparison. But because I'm getting more coffee flavour from this, I'll have to mark it down and say a 2.5. Because it's just personal preference. I just don't like coffee.
Yeah,
sure. I get that.
What other category was there?
That's it. And then what game? If you had to drink it while playing a video game, what would you play while drinking it?
I would.
Or you can say you wouldn't drink it, so you wouldn't play anything. Or you could say that if you want.
I'd play Rugby World Cup 20 or Rugby 20, because I know it's a bad game. So I wouldn't be enjoying drinking this, and I wouldn't be enjoying playing that too much.
Okay.
So just on the scale, if I drink this, I thank you very much. Would I go back and have another? No, I wouldn't. If after a pint of draft Guinness, would I have another? Yes, I definitely would.
Big difference between the two. Interesting. Evan, have you got yours poured appropriately yet, so you can actually drink it?
It's probably as appropriate as Actually, do you want to go first? You want to go first?
Well, I might read Rafa's notes. They're quite long.
Sure.
So he said this was probably the second or third time he's ever had a Guinness beer. Very like the first time he's had an extra stout. He does not recall being a big fan of dark beers and black beers, and hasn't had one in many years. But he thinks his taste might have changed because he's already drank 2 bottles of the stuff. So he doesn't like it. On appearance, he said it was dark, pitch black. The foam disapparated shortly after pouring. The head was only 2 fingers high, which is about how your pour should look like. I don't know how Evans is looking, but he scored for appearance. He scored out of 4. He really liked the dark opaque color, and he said he liked how it worked as he poured it into the glass and the anticipation of it kind of moving around. Aroma wise, he said he detected quite a slight sweetness. However, it was very malty. He gave that a 3.5. The aroma is nothing more or less than he expected. He says it's nothing particularly outstanding about the aroma. He said his palate was mouth-filling, oily, smooth, and mildly carbonated. So not very carbonated, so quite easy to sip on. It's not going to bubble in your mouth. He quite liked that. He said he's not a massive fan of highly carbonated drinks. So he gave that a 4. And for flavour, he found it strong and impactful flavour, but not harsh. He said he detected some sweetness. I think that he said that came from the aroma, and so some fruitiness, which he couldn't pinpoint what kind of fruit. And he said it does leave a dry, sour taste in your mouth afterwards, which he didn't detect when he first drank. So he's given that a 3.5. So 15 total. And what game he said he would fit with it? He said if it's a gaming session involving something that requires concentration and not a game that you'll have something alongside, like a podcast or a TV show. Genre recommendations would be a turn-based game like Fire Emblem or a strategy game like Civ. So he said.
Oh,
so there's quite in depth. He thought about that a lot, but I think he's had a few of them to be able to have that report.
Nice job,
Evan. What do you think?
All right, so I poured it. I haven't tasted it yet. I like the bottle. It's slightly different from the usual Guinness bottle that you see. It's got the original on there. The bottle cap is red, which may actually, God damn it, made it stand out. I'm not drunk. I just AirPod fell out of my ear. Made it stand out on the shelf is actually why I caught my eye when I first saw it. So I also have a nice Guinness glass. I think probably the same one that Matt has with the harp on the side. None of this has to do with the.
Which pub did you steal that from?
Yes,
actually, I did steal this from somewhere.
I may have stolen mine too. I don't remember.
By the way, anytime you get a bit of foam that sticks on the glass, that's called Brussels lace, and that is a sign of a clean glass. So if a beer's foam does not stick to the side, it might be quite dirty or oily. There you go. Lovely Brussels lace on the side of there. Initially, the head was this big. It was like a full fucking four finger, like I stuck my whole hand in the cookie jar. But when it actually did settle out, it was actually quite fluffy at the top, which is one of the best. You know, some beers, especially like the Kirin Ichiban Shibori, it's like there's so much carbonation that it just like shoots up, and it's just unloading bubbles at you, and then it just goes away. And this had a nice fluffy head on it, so I like that. A brownish head. Yeah, I think Keith, you're right. This is not as black, as dark as
Draft Guinness.
The Draft Guinness, yeah. You can see there's a bit of caramel, kind of light brown color shining through. But the color is nice. It does look like a stout to me. I don't know. It's not as black as some of the stouts that I've had in recent memory, the Mino stout being one of them, but it's got a good color. On the tongue, it is quite creamy, but it does have that bit of roasty kind of coffee flavor. So Keith, if you don't like coffee, I can totally get why you wouldn't be a fan of this. I love coffee, so Oh yeah. So it takes a while for it to get there. Originally, it's actually quite sweet on the palate, and then the longer that it stays on your tongue, it actually does get a bit more of that coffee flavor, which I do like. To be honest with you, and I don't know, you guys might hate me for this. I'm actually not a big stout fan.
Me neither, really.
Okay.
No, I'm not.
I will definitely have one.
I personally
Pat-
love stouts.
So, like, in
Yeah,
Matt,
you've drunk
in like
a coffee milk stout before. You love stouts.
So, like, if I'm on a night out or out with my friends and that, I'll totally order a stout. If it's on the menu, I'd like to. If it's something I hadn't had before, I'll definitely have it. But I'll probably do one a night. Whereas a lot of other styles, I can do IPAs all night, or pale ales, or amber ales, or that type of thing. But
Something that I've just realised from taking my next, it was a bit more than a sip. Glug. Are these official titles? So there's sip,
Sure.
then there's mouthful,
There's a
then there's a
glug.
glug. There's quite a big hit of iron that I get straight away before the coffee kicks in.
Yeah, I just
So
took a
it's-
big mouthful. I would agree with you there, Keith, actually. It does hit get a metallic hit before you
Yeah,
get the
it's
coffee.
not that I've been going around eating old keys or anything like that, but it does taste like it tastes like iron to me, rather than some of the sharper metallic things that you can get.
One
Don't eat metal.
Yeah, don't eat metal, kids. One thing I do like about stouts is it does have that kind of velvety feel on the palate. A lot of beers just don't sit on your tongue quite the same way, so that kind of creamy, velvety feel that definitely has that, which I do like. I do like the lingering bitterness on the tongue that kind of stays there. It's not overpowering. It's got sweet on the front, so that helps it balance out, but it's not. It dissipates at a decent rate. So I don't know. Like I don't know. I haven't had a lot of regular classic Guinness, and
Well, this is the original.
This is the
classic
original, right?
recipe.
Mm.
yeah. So I mean, like the what's the regular Guinness called? This is the original one, but
This is
the-
So this is the
So Guinness
extra
extra stout, and then there's
It's
Guinness
the original.
draft.
and then there's draft Guinness. There's the two.
okay.
Then there's foreign extra stout too.
Oh yeah, there is. Yeah.
Which I've also had. It's been a while. Yeah. So the Guinness Drought, I haven't had it for a while enough to compare, but I
Guinness
might
Drought.
like this.
When they run out of Guinness.
Yeah, the old
Stout.
1953, I think it was.
Yeah.
The,
Great Guinness Drought.
Yeah, the Guinness Drought. There was just no Guinness to be had.
So before you do some scores, Evan, and you start rambling along thinking about what would Randy Mosher like me to say right now, what's the difference between the extra stout that you're trying now and the Japanese style stouts that you've had?
That is a good question. I haven't had the Mino Stout, which is one of my favorite breweries here. I don't remember exactly the difference. So at some later point, I'll have to
do a comparison.
Do a comparison. Yeah.
Reaction video.
But the
Instagram.
I will say, and this isn't something new. I remember having the foreign stout in Malaysia, and then I have this original Guinness now, and I prefer it to the Guinness that is sold.
Globally.
I don't know, the Guinness. Yeah, the Guinness that we all know.
Interesting thing about the Guinness, you'll know. Basically, what was happening was they were making it in Singapore, and then the quality wasn't as good as from Ireland. So they brought all of their shipping and all their brewing back to Ireland to then send out draft beer again. But the effect of that was, though, a lot of it didn't travel very well. So to actually get real drafting kegs in the Far East now is quite hard because they've got to ship it from Ireland, because there was one in Singapore, but they closed it down because they said that they weren't happy with the product that was being made. But
Sure.
it's an interesting fact.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it really tastes like a Guinness draft, slightly turned up, because it's 5%, and I think draft is what, like 4.2 maybe.
Yeah, 4.2, 4.3,
something like that. So it's for me that is just used to a bit more punch. You know, I'm the guy that.
This is have you got 5% in Japan? Because I've got 4.2.
Mine's 5.
Wow, interesting.
Wait, hold on. Hold up your bottle. Is it the same one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really weird. Mine is 5%.
That's interesting.
Well,
That is
if
very
it's
interesting.
they may,
Where was it
if-
brewed? Evan, where was it brewed? Does it say on the back?
It was imported.
Does it say where it's brewed?
I should say brewed in Dublin.
Yeah.
Well, it says the source country is Ireland, but that doesn't necessarily
Right.
mean
So
that
they
it
might
was
have
brewed.
upped for long haul shipping. They might have upped the ABV to make
So
the
it
beer
doesn't go
last
off.
longer.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That is interesting. I did not know that. I like that extra. It seems like it's Guinness, but it's slightly turned up to give it a bit more punch, and that's why when I first had the foreign stout, I was actually quite surprised at the flavor because I wasn't used to that. And this tastes very similar to that in that regard, and I think I prefer it. That might be absolute heresy, but and blasphemy, but I don't know. I like it.
All right. Do you want to do some scoring since you've probably appeased
sorry.
Randy Mosher enough with your
Yeah.
pompous bullshit?
So what are your scores then, Evan? For appearance, first of all, out of 5.
I mean,
Do you like the look of it?
Well, usually when I pour a stout, I like that. I like completely opaque, can't see shit through it type of stout. So I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
Palate, I actually liked how it was sweet at first, and it got a bit bitter, and it kind of lingers on the tongue, but it's not overwhelming. So I'll give that a 4.
Yeah.
Flavor, definitely better than the Guinness Drought of 1953, I think it was. Sorry, I got the Wikipedia page pulled up, but I think someone just edited it, so make me look like an idiot by saying the wrong year. I'll give that a. Can I do a 3.5? Is that allowed?
Yeah, you can. You can do that.
I'll do a 3.5.
The only thing you're missing is the aroma. What would you give your aroma score? What do you think it smells like before you even drink it?
I was okay. For some reason, for me, stouts smell like black olives to me. Has anyone ever thought that?
Yeah.
No.
Maybe. Do you guys have canned black olives in the UK?
No. I would never eat canned black olives.
We do have them, but I've never bought them.
It must be an American thing then, Evan, because I think I know what you're talking about.
Have them.
We do have
No, I'm sure.
It's just no self-respecting person would eat them.
I mean, I don't like olives anyway, so.
Yeah.
Well, you know how you
always harsh, Keith. Always harsh.
you guys talked about the kind of the what was it, the irony taste of it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm getting it from, like the tin can black olive taste. I've always thought that is not on the mosh wheel that I'm looking at right now. That's actually on my screen, so I feel really bad.
So
gonna get knocked out on the mosh pit. So it's like a 3. So I don't know. I think overall, if we're not doing percentages and tenths of a percent, it's a 3. I think it's a 3 out of 5 for me. Like I'd have one more, maybe, but then I'd switch to another beer. But that's kind of how stouts work for me. So take that for what it is.
So for me personally, I like it when it's darker than it is the Guinness. So I'm gonna mark down the appearance on that. I like the fact when you can't see through it at all. When you pour it, the head starts to churn, and then all of a sudden it just becomes you can't see anything through it. So I like that. So, and that didn't have this in the same way you do with a draft. So I would probably give the appearance a 3. Aroma, I do agree with everything said so far. The maltiness, there is a slight sweetness, but in the aroma. So I probably would give that, the aroma wise, I quite like the smell of it. So I would probably give that a 4 or 3, maybe less, be not that generous. Let's say a 3.5. Palate, however, even though it's smooth to drink, that metallic taste is not nice. If you have a gulp of it, that metallic taste I don't really enjoy. And even though it goes down smoothly, that starting point, I'm not then enjoying the drink. So I'd probably go with palate at 2. And then for flavour, I don't know if I'm even going to finish this, if I'm honest. I'm really not enjoying this drink.
Really?
Compared to the Whitstable Bay, which I would literally went down like a treat, this is like a war with this drink. So I'm probably going to give it a 1.5 for me. I think I'll be potentially avoiding stouts going forward.
Wow.
But obviously, if we need to taste test them, you can maybe sway me and change my mind. But
I might
it's teetering. It's teetering at the I'm going to chuck it down the sink level. I'm not going to because I've paid for
That's
it.
quite surprising.
So I'm going to give it a 1.5. So yeah, that's kind of my opinion. What game I would play with it? Well, I probably would play a game where I'd forget I poured the thing, so that I'd never have to drink it. So let's think of a very long kind of engulfing game, maybe like an RPG that I'm engulfed in, that I don't actually have to think about the drink I'm drinking, because I never want to drink this thing while I'm playing a video game. I don't know about how you thought, Evan.
Okay. So
Of a video
I think
game,
it's just,
I mean. You didn't say.
it's okay. It's something that I could kind of lean back on the couch and kind of half pay attention to type of thing. So I'd go with like Tales from the Borderlands, maybe.
Okay.
Is what I'd play drinking that. Matt,
No,
did
so
you?
I'm just thinking about games actually. So is there a game that this could be the kind of lesser cousin to? The one who shows up to weddings, but no one really wants them there, because the more handsome, more interesting Guinness draft cousin is there.
That's terrible. It's so sad.
I've got one.
Oh yeah, go on then.
What do you got?
Liam.
Final Fantasy 15.
Oh, Final Fantasy 15. Sorry, you can just go and sit in the corner by yourself. Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 1's here.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right.
Guinness
Guinness original extra stout is the Final Fantasy 15 of the beer world. I guess is what we're saying.
Or is it Final Fantasy 10? Which one was the early one that everyone hated?
I
It was
didn't
10 part
particularly.
2.
I didn't particularly care
I mean,
for
I don't
10,
know.
but I know a lot of
10's my
people did
favorite.
like it.
I love 10. I think it has a great story, but it is told very confusingly, similar to 15.
I quite like
but not
it.
as bad.
I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about when it comes to Final Fantasy games.
I think 10's great. I think the fighting system's great. It's the pilgrimage
you
story
have
is great.
no right to say anything. You got a fucking platinum trophy on
So,
Final Fantasy 15.
I just love hearing good things about 10. Just throw them all at me.
Game.
From the four of us, obviously Keith didn't get to review this, so I think it probably would have pushed the score a bit higher. From the four of us, averaged across all the categories, we've judged this beer at 12.5 out of 20.
You know, don't worry about me. I mean, it's not like I've
Sorry,
had
Liam,
Guinness
I didn't think
before
you
or
were
anything.
drinking beer because of your diet. So that's why I didn't mention
I mean,
it.
I've had it before.
Oh, okay. So sorry.
Honestly, I think I spent the entire summer drinking exclusively Guinness one time.
Really?
So then maybe with Liam and Matt been involved, the score probably would have been higher. Me and Keith have obviously brought that score down, but over the four of us,
well,
we
actually,
put it at 12.5 with Rafa, with 15 out of 20 being liking it the most. And I think he said he's drank multiple of them, so that would make sense.
I mean, I actually feel very similarly to Evan in terms of this beer. I pretty much agreed with most of his scores, other than the aroma. I think I find the aroma a little more enticing. I mean, just Guinness in general. The aroma really agrees with me. And if there isn't any Guinness draft around, but I'll happily take an extra stout. But yeah, the draft is the better. And just the smell alone, like, I mean, just seeing your glass earlier made me very, I guess,
jealous.
just made me want one. Yeah, jealous is the right word.
Imagine this guy playing Persona 5 Royal with a Guinness in his. This guy would be living on fucking cloud 9.
It would be quite a nice mix, actually.
To be fair, Liam, that's the kind of game where you're putting 50, 100 hours in. You don't really have to drink the thing. Right? I'm joking.
Yeah.
But there we go. Well, that was our first live Palatable Pints beer review. We'll be doing this every 2 weeks, like we said. You should be able to, in a few days, you'll be able to check out our scores on the site, along with our game suggestion, what you should play along with it or not play, perhaps. Make sure you drink responsibly. Until next time, you've been watching Palatable Pints on pixels.pub. Pixelpints.pub, sorry.
All right. And we're out.